Hi guys, it's Sage. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you're new. Hi, I'm Sage. Look at the mess on my counter. Just gonna hide that like this. Okay, hi. If you're new, I am Sage. I live in Miami. So, if you haven't seen my last video, you guys wouldn't know that my dog Shiloh got spayed. If you don't know what that is, that just means she can't have puppies anymore and she doesn't go into heat, which means she doesn't get a period anymore. I did it obviously because I don't want to risk her getting pregnant because I can't handle 8 puppies, you know, or just any amount of puppies. I can't handle that right now. And also, like, it's a health thing. A lot of dogs, if they don't get spayed, have a chance of getting cancer when they're older and all these other things. So I decided to get her spayed. I have a horror story for you guys today. I haven't filmed a story time in so long, but today's the day I'm gonna dive in because it's crazy. But before we get started, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram if you aren't already, so you guys get a closer look into my life and also get the chance to interact with me as well for future videos. So let's get started. So she got spayed on February 2nd. I took her to, okay, let me just give you some backstory. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So the vet I originally take her to, I asked about getting her spayed and it was just too, sorry about that light by the way. This video is a mess. Okay. I originally asked about her getting spayed there and I couldn't afford it. It was too expensive. Usually a spay costs around $400, $500, $600 max. Like, I've never heard of another vet being more expensive than that, but my vet wanted to charge $1,000 and I couldn't financially do that. So I decided to do research on other vets. And she also went into heat, so I had no option to even get her spayed at that moment because she went into heat. And then after they go into heat, they have to wait a couple months and then you get them spayed because her uterus gets bigger. So it was finally time. I decided to get her spayed because I was nervous she was gonna go into heat again, even though she wasn't. I was just kind of nervous about it. And I knew it was time. She's a year old, so I just wanted to get it done. I was recommended this vet in Miami by multiple people have recommended me this vet, so I had high hopes. So I called, I made an appointment for her, and the first appointment was a free consultation, okay? Just to connect with your animal. So I go there and somehow I ended up with a $300 vet bill. Yeah. So they ended up doing blood work, which was fine because they had to do it anyways, but they were just gonna wait till the second appointment, but they just did it in that appointment. And they need blood work to make sure she's good under anesthesia and all this other stuff. So they did the blood work and then they tell me she has an ear infection with 2 different types of bacteria, and they need to send it to a lab to get tested. And then I get medications for her ears. I thought her ears were fine. When she is prone to ear infections, but when she does get them, I know because she'll scratch her ears a lot, and she wasn't doing that. So I'm like, okay, obviously I'm gonna believe the vet. Sorry about the noise outside. There's a train and Shiloh's sitting outside, so I don't want to close the door on her. But so obviously I'm gonna believe the vet. Like, what do I know, right? So I get charged over $300 for all this stuff, all this medication, everything like that. And I'm like, okay, like, what can I do about that? Like, okay. So then a week goes by and I get a call from the vet, and she says that they actually gave me the wrong medication for the type of bacteria that's growing in her ears. I'm like, okay. Oh, and then she says, just stop using that medicine because it won't work. So I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I won't use it anymore. I just spent a lot of money on this, but I'm sure when I go back, I'll get the money back or get a refund. It's fine. So I go back for her ears, and then, yeah, I go back for her ears, and I'm like, so, like, since it was the wrong medication, like, can I please get that money back? And she rolled this is the doctor, okay? The doctor rolled her eyes and was like, no, it's okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I said that, and she was like, no, we're not gonna do that because you already paid for it, which doesn't make sense, but okay. And then I was like, okay, but you told me to stop using on her like a week ago because it was the wrong stuff. And she's like, okay, well, like, so dramatic, like, chill out. It's not that serious. I just want my money back. Like, you told me one thing, now you're gonna like roll your eyes at a customer when I repeat back what you said. Like, weird, just so weird. So I kind of just had a weird feeling. It's hard to explain. I just had this, like, in the back of my mind, just a weird gut bad feeling. But I had this appointment scheduled for her space. I was gonna follow through with it. So then the day of, this is February 2nd, I take her at 8 in the morning. They don't start her until like 1 in the afternoon, which didn't make any sense to me, but okay. And then they called, said surgery went well. I'm like, okay, cool. Pick her up at 6 o'clock. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go, I pick her up. And obviously she's out of it. She just was under anesthesia, so of course she's gonna not, you know, be all there. But so you call the vet and let them know that they're there, and I couldn't hear because there's a car wash right next door, so I couldn't hear. I was like, hey, can I come inside and just like pay for it or whatever and get all the information? And she's like, yeah, of course. I didn't get let inside. This man walked out and hands Shiloh and hands me all these papers and medication, and then like tries to walk away. And I'm like, excuse me, like, what is all this? And for someone who hasn't gone through this before, for my dog to just be in surgery, for me to spend all this money for her to be spayed, I want to know what to expect from here on out. What am I supposed to give her? What should I expect her behavior to be like? What side effects should I expect? How is the medication supposed to work? Tell me. I don't want to just read the papers at home and you not explain anything to me. This man literally wouldn't even talk to me about what to do. I had to ask everything. I'm like, okay, so is this her medication? And all he would say was, yeah, it's on the paperwork. Like, just with attitude. And I'm like, okay, how long is she gonna be in a cone for? He's like, I don't know, maybe like 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, I'm just asking these questions, and all he would say is, it's on the papers. That's it. And I'm just like, what the heck? And at that point I was like, okay, like, you're literally not gonna help me. Like, this is ridiculous. So they take my money, and it felt very like, go type of situation, which I don't want to feel when my dog was just in surgery. Like, that's horrible. So I go home. Obviously Shiloh's sleeping, and I could tell she was in pain because she was panting a lot. And so I would give her medicine, and it wasn't helping. Mind you, they didn't give me antibiotics for her incision. They did not give me antibiotics. So all they gave me was 2 different types of pain medications, which didn't even work because she was up crying the whole night and running around pacing. So the next day, I look at her incision, and I just knew. I knew something was wrong. I just had a weird, again, like a mother instinct gut feeling. So I took a picture of it. I'm not gonna put pictures in this video because it's really graphic, and I don't wanna get demonetized on this because it's gross. So it was very red, which is normal for an incision, obviously right after surgery, but I just knew something wasn't right. It was kind of like bubbly, kind of, or like bumps on it. And mind you, this was like a couple hours, like not even 24 hours later, so there's no way she could have licked it or scratched it, right? So I noticed that. I take a picture of it, and I call the vet, and I'm like, hey, it just looks off. What should I do? And they're like, you can just bring her in. And I'm like, okay, well, I work all day today. Can I send a picture of, like, on email? So I sent a picture to the doctor on an email, and I didn't hear back for 48 hours. 48 hours. And she calls me, but I'm at work, so I obviously couldn't answer. And she was like, it looks fine. I wouldn't worry. It looks fine. I'm like, okay. At that point, I was really frustrated because it took 48 hours for them to respond to an email after my dog was just in surgery. And mind you, they never called to check on her. They never called. Even like the day after, they should have called me to check on my dog, but they didn't. So yeah, so that happened. And then that night, it was opening up and it was oozing a little bit. And I took a picture of it. I sent it to my mom. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, just wait till the morning. And if it gets worse, then call the vet and go there. So the next morning, it was so bad. It was bleeding and oozing so bad. I felt so bad for her because she was in so much pain, and I would give her pain meds. I ended up giving her a little bit more than they gave me because I just knew that the dosage was completely off because it didn't do anything. The pain was out of control, and you could tell she was just like not okay. So I had work at 12, and I woke up at 8 in the morning and I drove straight to the vet. And on the way there, I called right when they opened. I was like, hi, I'm on my way. My dog's bleeding and oozing so bad. She was just in surgery 3 days ago. She needs to be checked on. I don't care who she sees, but she needs to see someone because it's not good. And the girl on the phone says, no, you can't come here. We can't help you. And I literally was like, what do you mean you can't help me? My dog is bleeding and oozing from a spay that you guys did on her February 2nd. I'm on my way. I don't care who sees her. A nurse can see her, a technician can see her, any doctor, I don't care. She was like, well, the doctors aren't in right now, so like we can't help you. So I was like, okay, when do the doctors come? She's like, I don't know, maybe like 9:30. I'm like, okay, any other vet would be like, just come, we could see what we could do, but you might just need to wait until the doctors come. Like, none of that, just, we can't help you. And at one point she goes, we can't help you. If you want to go somewhere, just maybe take her to the hospital. So I hung up on her. I full on hung up on her. I turned around, went home. I'm sobbing, crying because my dog is in pain. I have to be at work in a couple hours. And I didn't know what to do. I couldn't like leave her at home when she's bleeding and oozing. So I'm calling Banfield, which is like a hospital at PetSmart, and they even were like, no, we're full and booked. I'm like, girl, it's 10 in the morning, you're not booked. Like, no. So I was freaking out. I took her on a walk to go to the bathroom. I see all like the dog parents in my neighborhood, and I was talking to them, and they were just like, put some Neosporin on it, or you can like put a little sticker that you can get at like Target on it. And I just knew I needed to take her in. Like, people have instincts when they're a parent. I know it's a dog, but like I have an instinct for my dog. I know, it's a weird thing. So I ended up calling the vet I originally used to take her to, and I was like, I don't know what to do. This vet will not help me, and my dog is bleeding so bad and oozing so bad. And they said, we usually obviously recommend you taking them to the original place, but since they won't help you, bring her in. It might be a little bit of wait, but we'll see her. So I felt so good, like just that someone cares enough to help my dog. So I take her there. I was in the car waiting for her to be seen for maybe 3 hours maybe, which is fine because it was a walk-in. They're fully booked on a Saturday. So I texted my manager, just letting her know like I can't come in for a while, but I will be there at work, but I obviously have other things going on. So they saw her, and the doctor called me and was like, this is so infected that if she were to have licked it or scratched it anymore, it would have been dangerous. So yeah, ever since that appointment, they put her on an antibiotic. They did a culture of it, which means they take a sample, send it to a lab. They gave her, no, they didn't give her pain meds, but they just put her on an antibiotic. I've had to go to the vet every 2 days. Every 2 days I've been at the vet checking on it because it is so bad. Like, when I tell you this thing was so infected, her stitches were coming out. Her stitches were coming out. You can see a stitch out of her incision right now. And it was so bad. So yeah, I've been taking her every other day to the vet, and it's getting better, thank God. They put her on, once we got back the results from the lab, we found out that this other medication that she was taking was actually the right one, so we upped the dosage, gave her a couple times a day. I clean it with the cleanser. It's healing, finally. I took her today, and they said that the incision is finally, looks like it's somewhat closed. So I bring her in on Wednesday now, so a little bit of time in between, and hopefully by then, with still giving her the medication and still cleaning it, that it should be all good to go. Crossing my fingers. Also, let me just add, I called them because Shiloh would wake me up in the middle of the night crying in pain, and I had to literally sleep on the floor with her so she could feel comforted. Like, I swear that's the only way I could get her to sleep. I called them and I was like, hi, those pain meds like ran out, can you please prescribe more? She's in so much pain. And they said, well, we had to get that approved by the doctor. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just letting you know she has an insanely bad infection, and I had to take her to another doctor because you guys wouldn't see her. And the girl on the phone was like, okay, well, like, can we get those records? I'm like, sure, but I need those pain meds because she's crying in pain. Still to this day, mind you, this new vet, or the vet that I now take her to again, contacted that vet to get pain meds. They still have not talked to me. They still haven't called. They still haven't checked on Shiloh. They still haven't given those pain meds they were supposed to give her. It's horrible. So my recommendation for anyone that's going through this, a first-time dog owner, well, I've had dogs growing up, but obviously this is my dog, do your research. If you have a gut instinct about something, go with your gut. And it's not, vets are not fun, it's not cheap, it's a hassle. I feel like a lot of times it's hard to trust a vet, but when you trust a vet and you like the people there and you know that they care about your dog, stick with that vet. Because if I would have just sticked with this vet and saved up money or set aside money to get her spayed at this vet, I'm sure it'd be a different result now. But she's doing great. She lost some weight because she hasn't really been eating a lot, but her spirits are up. She's that crazy Shiloh that loves everyone and wants pets and kisses and all this stuff. So she's doing good, and I thought I'd give you guys an update and a story time on this because it was crazy, 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 crazy. And somehow my entire neighborhood knows about this. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this, and I'm actually vlogging today. I'm doing a day in my life, so stay tuned for that video. One of these is gonna go up before, I don't know which one will go up before, but I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.